Hello there. Welcome to the SPS, the Self Performance Strategies podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite concepts, and that's 90-day sprints. I believe there's magic about them. I believe that they're something that we should all be doing, splitting our year up into 4 quarters. But hey, less of the intro, and let's actually get into this episode. This is the SPS podcast, and I am your host, Steven. The whole goal of the Self Performance Strategies podcast is to help you do less dumb shit, reduce stress, save time, so you can focus on the high dollar activities in your business. The SPS podcast is brought to you by the Pro Accelerator program. The Pro Accelerator program has helped over a dozen business owners in the last 18 months save at least 10 hours a week while adding anywhere between $50K to $1 million of extra revenue to their businesses. If that sounds like something you're interested in, go to the show notes, click the links, book a call with me, and we might be speaking live one-on-one at some point in the future. With that said, let's now jump into this episode. Hello. Welcome. We are in episode 61 of the Self Performance Strategies podcast. Yes, and as I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about 90-day sprints and why they are magic. I am bullish on 90-day sprints. They changed my life, and we're going to talk about how that happened and why that happened. But before we do, like we do in every episode, we've got to share a quote. And this one comes from Art Buchwald. And he said, whether it's the best of times or the worst of times, it's the only time we've got. I love this quote. It recently came into my life and it really sparked a little bit of interest with me because Art is right. We've only got the time that we've got. That's all we have. The days, weeks, months ahead of us, that's all we have. But there is a better way to use them, in my opinion. And that's why I've put this quote in this episode of the SPS, is I genuinely believe, fully believe, 100% believe that 90-day sprints are the best way to use your time. Or 90-day chunks. Or working in quarters is the best way to get things done in your life, personally, professionally, business-wise, corporately, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this. If you're a business owner, you should already be working in these sprints. In your life, you should have goals set out for each quarter, in my opinion. But my life wasn't always like that. I didn't always work in these sprints. I didn't always work in quarters. Up until about 2018, I would set yearly goals, and then I would do a mid-year review during my birthday month, which is in June. I have to say, I do love having a birthday slap bang in the middle of the year. As a kid, it was a fantastic milestone. Having Christmas in December, birthday in June, about 6 months apart. I like that routine. It worked well for me. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought I had a very special birthday compared to a lot of other people. Some of those people that had birthdays too close to Christmas, I was like, haha. I don't know why. I always thought it was more special to have them spread out, but I just did. But as I got older, especially into my 30s, and especially when I was trying to climb the corporate ladder or start a business, or I had all these ideas and I'd wasted my 20s at partying, I had all this sort of extra energy in me to catch up, to get to where I think I should be. I often felt depressed and annoyed at my lack of progress each June. I was in the cycle of every year, starting the year off really well, losing my way a little bit, and then when it comes to June, I'd be a bit sad and mopey, and I'd be like, oh, I didn't get everything done I wanted to get done, and I'd try to re-engage, and then I'd try to get stuff done, but then we go into the summer, and the summer's always slower, and then by the time October and November rolled around, I'd be trying to sprint to get a few things done before the end of the year. That was my life. And my wife even picked up on this yearly cycle and dip of energy. The early summer blues, the June blues, as I now call them. And looking back, that was dumb shit. It really was dumb shit. I mean, imagine having a birthday and feeling sad about it. Now, I was happy to have a birthday. I always enjoy my birthday. Bit of cake, go out and treat yourself, have a meal, always a good time. But it was that month, there was a general vibe of frustration, of being off track, of not really hitting the goals that I wanted to hit, when I set them out in January. So what changed? Why do I no longer get sad in June? Why have I got past this? Why am I now flowing towards my goals more regularly? What changed? What was the big pivot? What was the transformation? Well, the transformation all started in early 2018. I was given this opportunity to lead a pilot project at the insurance company where I worked. I was going to lead 4 managers and 30 team members in a new trial on a new onboarding process. There was a lot of serendipity in this because I was bringing a lot of new ideas to my role as a leader in that organization. I was reading marketing books, I was reading behavioral economic books, I was coming at things from my sales background, and I was trying to influence my team members and the other leaders around me to use more positive language, to have conversations with lawyers and customers in a better way, in a more structured way, in a way that actually helped us get to solutions rather than being in a combative he said backwards and forwards argument that happens quite a lot when you're dealing with injuries and compensation. And I was bringing these new ideas, and I'd been noticed for them, and I'd been talked about, and I had meetings in front of directors and area managers, and all of a sudden I was moved into this project being run by PricewaterhouseCoopers. PwC had come in and they were running a 90-day project. That all this was happening in the background. I had no idea what was happening. It was just happening at the same time that I was bringing these new ideas, and there was a link. They were like, oh, we need to put Stephen in charge of this because he's really on top of this. He seems to be the person that understands this. So I got to work with PwC for 90 days, and they sent in a couple of really cool people. They sent in a couple of really smart project managers, and they sent in a lady who actually had a PhD in behavioral economics. It was a fascinating time. It was an exciting time in my career. I loved working with these people. Sometimes when you work with the consultancy firms, they send in their best people to sell you the project, and then they shuffle in their newbies to run the project. And it can be a bit frustrating because some of their newbies aren't as experienced as some as your staff. And it can be a bit like, well, why are we even paying these consultancy firms these massive amounts of money to be here? But with this PwC sprint, I don't know whether they were fishing for new business, but they sent in really capable people, and they stayed with the project the whole time. It was my first time working with what I describe as proper project managers. Like they really understood it. They just didn't have the certificates. They actually had the battle scars. They had stories from working around the world. And the lady with the behavioral economics PhD was just phenomenal. She was just like an encyclopedia of ideas. She just like take things out really, really quickly, snap, snap, snap. And I loved having conversations with those people. Now, while I said it was exciting, it was, and it lit me up. It was a really great time in my career. But the real thing that stood out for me was when I was sitting in the brainstorming sessions, when I was sitting in the project planning sessions, and they were looking at the basic concepts of project management and these 90-day sprints, my brain was just like alive with, hold on a second, is this the Holy Grail? Is this it? Is this the missing piece in my life? Is this the missing piece to personal progress? Is this the thing that a lot of personal development books don't feckin' teach you? You heard of SMART goals and having goals and everything else, and BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. But where does it actually teach you to take action, to have milestones, to have a work breakdown structure, to actually have things from the macro big goal to the micro actions that are going to get us there? It's, for me, you think about a book like Atomic Habits, doesn't even really teach this. Oh, it's the best productivity book and habit book in the world. Yeah, but it doesn't teach this shit. Doesn't teach this. And I honestly felt like I was Archimedes taking a bath. It was eureka. I found the answer to my yearly progress problems. The process lit up my brain. From having those milestones, from journey mapping out where I wanted to go, to having a work breakdown structure, the fundamental project management skills give me the tools to set up 90-day sprints in my own life. And all of a sudden it clicked. I took a step back and like the universe whispered to me. All of a sudden I saw things differently. I just realized very quickly that the year is broken down into 4 seasons that last roughly 90 days. That the equinoxes happen every 90 days, about a week or so before the end of each quarter. So technically, the Earth goes around the sun in 90-day sprints. Kinda. Okay, yes, that is amateur science. But it felt like to me the universe was telling me, yo, Stephen, this is how you get shit done. This is how you're actually meant to run your life. You're meant to run your life in 4 chunks following the seasons. And this is where it gets interesting. I started doing it. I actually started doing it. And by April 2021, we started in 2018, but by April 2021, I'd been promoted, big ass promotion, and I'd been moved to 3 different other projects, all to do with the sort of behavioral economics and rolling out of process mapping and leading teams. It's a fantastic time in my career. But also, during the pandemic, because I was so focused and I was working in these sprints, I was able to build my side hustle up to enough momentum that in April 2021, I had a choice. Do I stay in my corporate job, nice comfortable 6-figure job, or do I start a coaching business and try to do something I've always wanted to do? I think we know the answer to that question of what I did. Yes, I started my own coaching business. And then from 2021 to 2023 today, I've worked in 4 sprints. I'm now in my 5th sprint since leaving corporate as I'm recording this. And I've helped dozens of business owners do less dumb shit, get their priorities right, focus on their high dollar and high value activities, and make big progress in their lives, because that's what I do. But one of the main concepts that I teach my clients is 90-day sprints. It's pretty much the last thing that I teach them. It's as I wrap up not wrap up, but it's the main part of the process. I take them through building their foundations, getting their shit right, focusing on the right things, and then we start sprinting and using each quarter as a sprint. That is how my one-to-one coaching package goes. That's how I think about it. We need to start working in these quarters. But back to my own life. As I already mentioned, because I'm working in these quarters, because I'm no longer waiting to June, because I'm no longer waiting to the end of the year to check in, I no longer feel sad in June. I don't feel sad on my birthday anymore. Because I'm making progress. I can point to a list of shit that I've got done because I've already completed nearly 2 full sprints by the time my birthday comes around. I'm no longer waiting to check in on my year 6 months into it. I'm checking into my year practically every week, but I'm going deep with it every 3 months. And that's the big standout thing I want to mention in this podcast on the 61st episode of the SPS podcast is damn, these sprints work. They work. But you may be asking me, why do they work? That's a very good question. Besides the universe and the seasons wanting you to work in 90-day chunks, in my opinion, I've pulled out 5 key benefits that I have seen in my own life from working like this. So let's dive into them. I'll go over the 5 benefits quickly and then I'll explain them. The first one is clarity and focus. The second one is adaptability. The third one is data and feedback. The fourth one is motivation and momentum. And the fifth one is risk risk mitigation. So the first one, clarity and focus. Pretty straightforward. I've already kind of touched on this as I've talked about these sprints. 90-day sprints provided me a defined time frame for achieving my goals. This short-term focus helped me concentrate on my high value and high dollar work. It prevents me from doing dumb shit. It really does. It allows me to call out that dumb shit a lot quicker and allows me to adjust and adapt a lot faster. And that's the second one, adaptability. If shit isn't working, I have the flexibility to pivot just after 90 days or earlier. 30 days in, 60 days in. I'm no longer waiting to June or later in the year to do a review and decide to change my direction. I'm constantly getting that feedback and data. And that leads me into the third point, feedback and data. 90-day sprints allow for frequent check-ins. You're doing 4 big deep dives a year. But because you're working in these chunks, you're also doing a 30-day, a 60-day. I even do weekly reviews in my journal, my tactical journal system. The best way to set goals is with data. And working in these chunks provides you with the data to set actual goals. I've worked with too many people and I've seen too many people in my life that set goals. I'll give you an example. I worked with a guy who also wanted to be a coach. He was a corporate leader. And he said to me, I want to be a 4-person coach. I want to hire 4 clients a month. That was his data. He just pulled it out of his ass. I said, how many people have you coached so far in your career? He's like, 0. Going from 0 to 4 people is massive. So he had no data point. It was a wish and a prayer. So when he got his first client, when he was working with me, he was now a 1 in 3 months because that's how long it took him to set up his offer and get the client. He was now a data point. He was 1 in 3 months. And then he got a second client within 4 or 5 months. So he was now 2 within a 5-month period. And I think he got a third client before the end of the second quarter that he was working in. Bear in mind, he was still working his corporate job. But now we could sit down with data and say he is a 3 a quarter coach, which is a 1 a month. Now he can try to double that. But like going from that to 4 a month, which would make him a 12 a quarter, that's a big jump. But with data, you can actually see your through line. You can actually see how you're progressing. You can actually get a feel for what you're actually capable of and what the reality is. Too many people set goals out of reality. Their wishes and prayers with no data. You gotta have data, and working in 90-day sprints gives you that data. That's why I'm very bullish on them in my own life. I set data-based goals now because of this. Now, I've gone off and had done a little TED talk there. Thank you for listening to me. But that's why I really feel like these are so important, so important. The fourth one is motivation and momentum. The fourth reason why I love 90-day sprints. Short-term goals are way more motivating than long-term goals. Yes, I have long-term goals, and you should too. But the momentum you get from week to week working on your 30, 60, and 90-day goals is unmatched. When you're looking back and you're stacking those wins and you're seeing how much progress you've made throughout the year, that energy is huge. The amount of shit I've done this year is massive. I've done more in this year than I probably did from the ages of 25 to 30. A massive amount of progress in 6 or 7 months. Oh no, sorry, we're in October, so it's a 10th month. The years are moving so quickly, I can't even count the months anymore. But the amount of progress I've made this year is huge compared to a year I would have had 2 or 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or before 2018. Every year seems to be getting better and better and better because I'm working in these chunks. And the final one I want to talk about, the final reason why I believe in 90-day sprints, is risk mitigation. They allow you to play with ideas. They allow you to fully commit for a period of time without fully committing and getting stuck. Let me explain that. When I first left my corporate job in 2021, I gave myself 2 full sprints to start making money, proper money. I gave myself 2 90-day sprints, 2 quarters. The funny thing is, it wasn't until halfway through the second sprint that I actually started making money and signing clients regularly. I give myself that risk mitigation. I built up enough money in the background to pop out of corporate, and I give myself a runway and a time frame, because Parkinson's law is real. The time that you allot to something is the time it's going to take. Now, I imagine if I only give myself 1 quarter, would I have made it up in that time? Who knows? We'll only find out if I set myself shorter goals. But I set myself a time frame. I worked in 2 sprints. I got it done. Powerful, powerful stuff. Now, today I use sprints to test ideas, hire support, and focus on skills. Every quarter I'm trying to learn a new skill, going deep on copywriting, going deep on storytelling, whatever that may be. I'm trying to learn new ideas each quarter, and I put a new skill at the forefront each quarter. I also have hired different people in different quarters this year to help me with my business. Each quarter is like a year, and I try to celebrate each quarter like a year, and I try to get the same amount of work done in 12 weeks than most people do in 12 months, or what I used to do in 12 months. That's the goal. And the thing about the 5th one in risk mitigation is you avoid overcommitting and getting stuck when you work in these types of sprints. It's very, very powerful. Now, I will say this. It's very, very important to understand, because sometimes the nuance of this gets lost on people. When I talk about this on Twitter or X, or LinkedIn, people come in and be like, oh, you can't over-optimize. You can't be sprinting all the time. Oh, that's impossible. That's too much pressure. No, that's not what I'm saying. Am I saying I'm sprinting all the time? It's 90-day sprints. They're 90-day chunks. They're working in 4 seasons. I'm splitting my year up. Sprints don't mean I'm hustling and bustling my balls off for 90 days. I'm not working 12-hour days. I'm not working 10, 20, 30 days in a row. No, that's dumb shit. That's just taking the word sprint and putting your own mental lens on it and making something that isn't being said. It means I'm chunking out my year into 4 quarters and selecting goals to complete each quarter. I pick goals for health. I pick goals for family. I pick goals for wealth. I pick goals for business. I approach life holistically. I even want the summer quarter of the year to be more chill. I want to take more time off. I want to enjoy the sun. I want to go out camping. I want to go and enjoy parties. I want to be able to be more relaxed during that quarter. That's just how I want to run my life. That's how I set it out. But I always have goals. I completed goals over the summer. I, quote unquote, sprinted towards certain things during that 90-day period. Some quarters I sprint, others I walk. because life is a long ass journey of many, many milestones. But I always have something that I'm focusing on in each quarter and in each chunk. So, question I have for you at the end of this podcast: are you ready to tap into the magic in 90-day sprints? Are you ready to live your life in the flow of the universe in 90-day seasons? Match up with the equinoxes, probably like our ancestors used to do. That's how they used to live their lives in 90-day chunks around the equinoxes. And I think it's time we get back to that. I actually believe that we should be working like that because they are magic and they work really well in my life. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being here for the 61st episode of the SPS podcast. I deeply, deeply appreciate you. If you want to hit me up on X, Twitter, at Steve Timoney, it's at STEVETIMONEY. Send me a DM and let me know what you think of the podcast. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to come on over to my website, that's stephentimony.com, STEPHENTIMONEY. You can check out all the rest of my podcast episodes. You can check out my newsletter on there as well. Come see what I do with my coaching offers on there as well. Yeah, but thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here, and we will speak to you in the next episode of the SPS. Make it a good one.